feelings just don't matter that much half the time. They really don't. And I think it pisses people off. They have a very emotional reaction when I say stuff like that. I've had conversations with people like, do your feelings actually matter? Like, of course they matter. They're my feelings. I'm like,
do they really?
Do they? Does it? What does it change? What does it impact? It doesn't really. It just makes things worse in certain areas. So.
Welcome to Sunny Side Up Podcast. I'm your host, David, and today we have with me Jason.
How's it going, man?
So, what do you do and when did you start doing it?
So, I own a content creation agency, which is just a fancy word for strategic video production. So, start off just doing bare bones video and a lot of commercials and projects over 10 years ago in high school, which is crazy to think. And then the company started 2017. I started doing videos of any kind, and then kind of moved into working with advertising agencies and more businesses, and realized there is a strategy and things to implement behind it that matter and make a difference. And so we really hopped down that lane.
Okay.
So that's what we do, a little bit of what we do.
In high school?
Yeah.
So, like, what was your thought process in high school? Like, when did you say, this is what I want to do?
At our career center at the high school, we had a video class, and I signed up for it, got it my sophomore year. And I knew I liked media. I just didn't know where I was going to land in media. And got into that class, made some of my friends, the teacher, loved the teacher, met my business partner actually in that class in high school. And it just felt right. It wasn't like this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. It just kind of felt right. And then I was in that class for 3 years, sophomore, junior, and senior year, as like it gets like more and more complex every year. There's levels to the class. And it just felt right. And it was funny, back in the day, we were shooting we had to log and capture like tapes like that. I'm making myself sound old, but like that, like SD card cameras we didn't have until like my senior year of high school. So it was like literally like tapes, and like getting the tapes to put it into a digital form to put on the computer.
Dang.
I'm making myself sound really old right now, but yeah, that's it was other than the tape part, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing I was thinking about is like the next generation, like our kids, will never have that, like the Polaroid camera photos of themselves or the disposable ones where you go to CVS to like develop. Like, they're not gonna have that. All pictures are gonna be crystal clear.
Yeah, and it's just your phone now.
Like, it's just, I don't know, just a thought that popped in my head, but I was like, man, that's because I mean, you think about like our parents and their photos from when they were kids, and then like my grandparents, and it was what 1930s or whatever that they were our age. Like, man, the camera and media technology from 1930 until now is insane.
I think technology's ramped up so much in the last 15 years, even more than the previous 40, 50 years. I mean, yeah, our grandparents and even parents at a young age, vinyl records. And now vinyl records are cool. Like, it's like cool,
vintage.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, like, so as I think technology comes full circle, like, I wouldn't be surprised in 15 years someone starts whipping out making CDs cool again or something.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like 2 years ago for us almost.
Yeah, I had a CD player up until like my early teenage years. Like, that's, like that was crazy.
Yeah, and like video games too. You think in the 90s there was we have a Sega. My brother and I have a Sega from, it's like, a vintage thing. And there's a video game where it's just a guy skateboarding down a road, and you got to do like tricks and whatnot. And looking at that now compared to Call of Duty and whatnot, where it's like first person shooter, and you think, holy cow, that was only like, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
30, 35 years ago. And it's night and day. And then you see, now we have PC games that are in 4K, incredibly fast. I mean, yeah, it's just insane.
It's technology just moves, like it compounds. So it's like the more time goes on, the more it advances faster and faster and faster, which is super cool. Because I just remember playing Xbox and stuff growing up, and like thinking that graphics on a game were so good, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that was almost 20 years ago, and it looked terrible. I thought that looked good, like that was like relative speaking. So it's kind of crazy.
My brother and I would watch like the Godzilla movies, and of course, when you're a kid, you're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!"
Yeah.
But then when you get older and you realize, okay, that's just a toy ship in a bathtub that they're making looks like it's in choppy water, and it's like, it's not great, but I mean, it's nostalgic, but it's
that's good.
That's just funny to look back and like think, I thought this was cool when I was a kid.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, it's actually kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, but it's relative speaking. You only know what you know until something better comes along.
I was just watching Joe Rogan talking about Bob Lazar, who's a like alien encounter guy, and they're talking about like the technology that we apparently got from them somehow, and there is this like gravity. What did they call it? It was like a gravity generator or something, and we have like no idea how this thing works.
Interesting.
Where it gets this fuel from, it baffles us. And so we're thinking like, okay, so these civilizations are apparently hundreds, thousands, and millions of years advanced compared to us.
Right.
And it's like, what are we going to be like in just 100 years? Like with media, what is media going to look like in 100 years? What is your company going to look like in 100 years?
I mean, if we're going to be honest, and it sounds pessimist, but my company's not going to be around in 100 years. I'm going to be dead. I don't think it's going to be something that carries the torch down another generation. But I think AI is a huge part. I already leverage AI to create content, and it's still kind of in infancy, and it kind of sucks. But I leverage it already. So 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, how much of my industry is going to be using or replaced by AI? Because there will be people that can prompt things and train things to make something as good as the human hand. And I think it's not so much about like, oh my God, I'm going to lose it. Like, also, just there needs to be a human mind behind strategy to a certain extent. AI can help, which AI might take over that in the future too. But I think that someone has to leverage it. Someone has to communicate it. Someone has to land the deal. Someone has to, construct it and give it to somebody and say, here you go. So I think that's a lot of where the industry's going. And I'm blessed to hop on that train and already start using it and learning it. I have a guy on my team that's super interested in like creating a lot of imagery from AI and deep fakes and masking and adding things that weren't originally there. And so it's like, cool, we're at the forefront of it, and that's just what I think the future will be. So who knows?
Yeah.
As long as you stay at the forefront of it and kind of create goals and plans around it and adapt to it, I don't spend much time worrying. To spend time worrying, it's time you can spend acting and solve your own problems that way.
Yeah. That's one thing you talk about, like staying on the forefront of something, is I've heard a lot of people say, like, oh, in YouTube University, you'll see drop shipping is a scam, affiliate marketing is a scam.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I think about with that is if somebody is doing it, it's possible. You either just don't know enough about it to do it, or you're too late to the game. And so, like with AI, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a late to the game thing. I think it's like, there's a reason why there's the 1%. And in anything, it's because the 1% get good at something, master it, stick with it over time, and maybe have a stroke of luck, or blessings too. But like, oh yeah, well there's dropships and scams. It's like, it's actually a rather simple business model, and it's not a hard thing to do. It's just like, can you leverage products and with fulfillment and set up the website and the store and pay for ads and things like that? And can you stick with it with your energy, your learning, your ad spend whatever the case may be, and then followed the demand of products and marketing. So yeah, of course, okay, there's the one person that's like, oh, dropshipping is a scam. And they tried it for 3 weeks and lost 400 hours in ad spend and their products, the products or whatever else. Then there's the guy that makes it $2 million a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, he's the 1%. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm not a huge excuses person. I think if it's not for you, it's not for you. But
Right.
I think to say something's a scam because it didn't work for you.
In 3 months.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, well, then it wasn't for you. It wasn't your path.
Yeah. One thing, do you know Alex Hormozy?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was talking about when I believe he met with a YouTube like coach or mentor, and Alex Hormozy said to this guy, what is my life going to look like 10 years from now? And I guess this guy was like, oh my God, I've never had somebody ask me that before, because everyone just wants, like, 1 year, how am I going to buy this Lambo? It's like, no. YouTube is a numbers game. Like, all this stuff is, how long can you do it consistently? The money's out there. It's just, you have to be patient and willing to just consistently do what you need to do over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Like Grant Cardone says, where's my money? Someone's got it.
Yep.
Where's my money?
Who's got my money?
And Alex Hormozy is awesome. He's got that event for his new book today, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'm going to miss it. But
is it, like, where's the event at?
Yeah, it's all virtual.
Okay.
He's giving away a lot of free stuff to go along with this new book, too. And I love his first book, so I've been reading it again to refresh myself to go into the second book, because they all segue into each other. Guy's intelligent. He's insanely intelligent.
I like how simple he is.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember he works out, and I remember seeing a video of him in the gym, and his gym bag was like the handyman tool pouch.
Yeah.
And he's like, it does the thing. I've tried other gym bags, but this is the one I like. It just...
Everything's open. He knows where everything is. He can see it. He doesn't need to, like, go through the bag. Yeah.
And somebody was asking him, like, what's your dream car? You got all this money. Like, probably a blacked out Dodge Caravan.
Yeah. He's so, like...
It's like, yes.
He's so, like, simple. Like, if it makes it easier for him, he understands he can allocate his energy to a certain place.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to put that into, like, working and his marriage. And, like, that's it.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's so funny, like, videos of him where he's like, oh, yeah, Layla, go get a coffee in the morning or whatever. And, like, oh, what do you want? Whatever you have. Like, he's just like, whatever, it works. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It does the job. And I'm like, Slaney wears the same couple outfits every day. And
he's cut off and flannel. He's a simpleton. But they've had all that. They had the big house and the cars, and they sold everything because they was like, this does nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it only does things for certain people. Yeah. And I think you have to have you grow into certain things, and I think sometimes you have to try things to figure out what you like and don't like. Like, for me, I'm a car guy. I've been a car guy since I could walk and talk. You know, I've always geeked out about cars, so as I financially scale, I know cars will be a part of that. Do I want a mansion? Not really. I could care less about a mansion. Mm-hmm. But 16-car garage? Yeah. That's where I'm at. So you kind of figure out what you care about, what you don't, as you kind of move along with life.
Have you heard of barndominiums?
Yeah. So,
like, are you going to be the guy that has, like, 80% of his whole building is going to be the garage, and then a little bitty house?
Funny story about that is, like, not quite to that style, but me and my dad are building a property in Tennessee right now. So it's like a
very cool
barndominium house. It only has like what would be like a 3-car garage attached, but it's just the construction style is barndominium. It's all black and white. It's super cool. And then we have a pole barn it's going to have a couple of toys in it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
it's happening in real time. So super, super cool. It's supposed to be done already, but construction.
You know how that goes.
Yeah. So
going back to the bit of a tangent. Where did you learn how to do what you do?
Yeah, it all started in the high school video class.
Okay, so that was
the foundations.
Okay.
Foundations, and it was super cool because, like, in our school district, we had 2 high schools, then there's the career center. The Career Center got a lot of funding, as the high schools were shit, to be honest. And a lot of great equipment and a great passionate teacher, and I got to learn a lot. And then I went to trade school for video, which honestly didn't teach me much else more than the high school class. Kind of a waste of time and money for a year in a lot of ways. Like I just couldn't tell you one thing I learned. I couldn't tell you a thing I learned or a connection I made that was actually valuable for the most part. It was like a couple, but nothing like monumental, I should say. But then after I was just in the field, I started shooting a couple of reality TV projects on corporate side, shooting for Motor Trend and Automobile Magazine, and worked for Ghost Lifestyle, which is a supplement brand, and they have energy drinks. And I just learned, and I learned a lot by sucking. Like looking at other people and be like, well, I'm not as good as that, or getting tossed into a position where I underperformed. And then next time I could not underperform, and back against the wall. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I work good under pressure. It's like, of course you work good under pressure when you got no other choice, And I just got better and better with time and did YouTube blogs in like 2015, 2016 to kind of stay steady on the camera and stuff. And I think over time it just evolved. And that's kind of just how I learned. Like you said, it's not a 1 year thing; it's a 10-year thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's ups and downs with it, and I continue to get better every day. And that's what you should aim for.
Right. No, like when you said, well, you don't have any other choice but to work harder.
Yeah.
My mom, I can, whenever I get into a tough situation, I always think about my mom, because if I was having trouble in school or with my grades or whatever the case may be, I would be, man, I need to do good on this test because I'm not doing well in the class or whatnot. And my mom would just say, well, are you going to get through this? And I remember thinking, well, I don't have a choice not to get through it.
Yeah.
Life goes on, and whether or not I fail this test or pass it, life is going to continue anyway, so I better just do my best to pass it.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me a lot through life, because it's like, well, yeah, you can't pause time and fix any mistakes. You just got to keep going, because we're not Morpheus. We can't bend time, and you don't have that option. So I think whenever I think about a situation where I'm not doing as well as I want to do, it's like, well, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, and then it's done.
Exactly. I think it's a lot of people have the paralysis of analysis.
Mm-hmm.
They think about how and why and what to do before they even do it. It's like, well, most of the time you're not going to figure that out until you do it anyways. So, throw it against the wall and see what happens.
Yep.
And if you mess up or don't do it as good as you want, then you should do better. And if it affects someone else, then own up to not being very good. I've had clients where I said, hey, let's reshoot this on my dime because I wasn't happy with it and I knew they weren't going to be happy with it. So what's your next day to redo it? And I bring in lunch or whatever too. Sorry, I want it to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the name of the game. I think people respect that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I know there's a guy that our family knows that's a general contractor, and he's super, super honest. He's a very, I would say, like rough around the edges kind of guy.
A lot of them are. A lot of general contractor construction type of guys. Blue collars.
He's very, very nice man and very honest, but yeah, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. And I remember him saying that he has a couple guys that work for him, and he sent one of them out to do a job, and that person didn't do it correctly. And he had heard about this issue through the customer and said, oh, yeah, I can pay you to come out and do it again. It's like, no, you're not paying anything more.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out there and do it myself correctly on my time.
Yeah, and now that person's going to tell every single person what he did. It's just the give and return of good energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like karma, good karma, bad karma, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I think it's just like you do good for just to genuinely be good. it'll come back around. It might not be immediate. You got to put it out there, but
that's something that Alex Hormozy also talks about is, and I know, as being newer entrepreneurs, you got to think, all right, how is my ROI? How is what I'm doing right now going to give me money, revenue? But sometimes the biggest reward that you can get are from giving something for free.
Yeah.
Because like you were mentioning with Alex Hormozy doing the event today, he's giving a lot of stuff away for free.
Yeah.
Maybe right now it's not going to give him the best ROI, but in the future, everyone's going to know. Alex Hormozy gave me that free course back in 2023. I'm going to come back to him for mentorship, or I'm going to come back to him for one of his books or whatever. So it's
he blatantly says it. He
Yeah.
tells you his plan of like, I give you all this YouTube content for free. My books are 99 cents. The courses go along with the book for free. The event's going to give so much free stuff, so much value. And he's like, my return is that you build a company that's $3 to $5 million in revenue, and then you jump into acquisition.com, and then we, do an acquisition plan, and then I can scale you to 25 to 50 million, and we bulk cash out and make the money. He's like, that is that is my end goal. That if I nurture and pour into you, you will have no choice but to turn to me when you want to do other things with your business. And he says it's blatantly, but he's also understands that it's a numbers game, that most people won't hit that. And also that they're so swamped at acquisition.com. Like, there's a lot. That's one company's structure that struggles a lot, actually, because it's like hard to get people that want to sell part of their company to grow certain things. Acquisition companies are extremely successful, but they're usually few and far between. And like all these other companies are like, how do you guys get your, how do you get your leads? And it's just like, I'm Alex Hormozy. Like, they have thousands of companies that are like, please take 25% ownership of my company and tell me what I need to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just like, that's his long game,
Yep.
That's his long game. I think it's super valuable because even just like the past couple of years, me consuming his content, like, if anyone would acquire part of my company and give me a game plan to rock home with, it'd be them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if I'll ever actually do that, but
it's always in your,
who else? That's a very old, stuffy, old 60-year-old white man business model of like acquisitions and stuff like that. And they're the new, like, hip kids in the block doing it better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's cool.
I'm talking about, like, he wants you to succeed, so you come back to him. Yeah. I was getting my hair cut recently, and I met Sam Berry, who is the owner and founder of Lefty's Cheesesteaks.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Andrew knows him, and, but when I was talking to him, because I was saying, like, do you have any stores for sale, anything about that? And he was saying, like, I want you to do well. Why is that? Because that's going to make me do well. Because if I buy a store and it does well, then he always is going to get those royalties.
Yep.
It's simple business. And I'm sure some people, it's unethical or whatever, but that's the way the game is played.
Yeah.
And what is the expression? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't like it, then you can leave, but it's just the way it is.
And like, on some low key, but by the time this episode comes out, it'll be public. We're working on a podcast too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
So I don't know when this comes out, a week or two from now, but like, they'll have a podcast out by then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that. So my business partner helped them build a studio in their office, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it like a podcast studio or?
Yeah. Okay. It's like they're going to have a neon sign and stuff, but yeah, it's pretty simple setup.
Very cool.
Wooden table, 4 chairs, and then they're going to have a neon sign in the back. Very simple.
It's almost like Joe Rogan, isn't it?
Something kind of like that. Yeah. Pretty simple. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Him and a couple other guys. I won't disclose everyone that's on it right now.
Yeah.
Because you gotta go see. But some Detroit business, influencer stuff, I think is going to be cool. And so
Okay.
It's cool that you ran into him.
Yeah.
It's cool.
He had a very nice car parked outside. And I was like, that's cool. And so I when I was getting my hair cut, I could hear him very loudly talking.
It's a loud personality.
Yeah. And like, who's that guy out there? He's like, oh, it's, Sam Berry. It's like, well, I gotta go talk to him, Yeah. The main point is I could hear him from the other room.
Yeah. Quite the personality on that guy. It's very eccentric, but it works for him. So,
apparently.
Some people are being super stoic and quiet works for them. Some people being just loud works for them. So just whatever fits your personality.
Yeah. What were and are your biggest struggles with doing your business?
There's a lot. I think that's just part of being an entrepreneur and a businessman, is just that you're constantly putting out fires. I think that we've had problems sometimes getting customers, and that's part of the reason that we're branching out and having a branch in Michigan and in Arizona, just because the market trends and the funding in the market and how people are hip to this out there is different than here. And I think that I can take it to another level there. So sometimes there's the ebbs and flows of business of just customers. So that's something that we've struggled with is, sometimes we have abundance and consistency, and sometimes it's not as abundant. I think on a personal level, I think having a business and having business partners and things of that nature, it's a huge ego check. You got to leave your ego at the door, because business and feelings should be separated almost always. So I think that's a struggle for not just me, but most people in business. And I think also I look at things, I'm very optimistic. It's just like they're good problems to have. Like if there wasn't any problems, I'm probably not doing much. So a lot of things just come up, and just a lot of little things that you have to constantly worry about. But constantly evolving the website, putting more content, sales, little stupid stuff like lost an SD card. It's stupid. Like it's just the little things and there's the big things. But I don't really look at things as like big problems. But I think it's just like it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's really things are going really smooth, and sometimes it's just problem after problem. I think sometimes getting customers in Michigan is a little bit of an issue because everyone wants to pinch pennies around here.
You can donate 1 penny to me, Mr. Krabs, also known as Mr. Krabs, the man who doesn't have one.
And that sometimes I don't think that at all. I'm doing fine. That's the weird part about it. Yeah, and I think it also is just the demand for personal growth. I don't consider that to be a problem per se, but I think it's just something that comes natural, and you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm not good enough for where I want to be. And that's hard to come to that realization. It's just like, oh, if I have this vision to be this type of business and these investments and this type of whatever, oh, am I the man that can be that? Probably not. So I need to learn how to be better and then act upon that. So, yeah, I think there's always problems and struggles, but I think the outlook on it, like when people are like, oh, what are your main struggles? And like, I don't think I look at a lot of things as a struggle. I look at things as an opportunity to get better.
I think the exact same way, because I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm working on my discipline to sit down and get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think for anyone who owns a business, like there's an expression, your salary is based on how many problems you can solve and the magnitude of the problems. So I think somebody like Elon Musk, I'm sure he would be labeled as arrogant by a lot of people, but you can't be arrogant when you've been beat that many times.
Yeah.
It's like in 2008, he was saying, okay, I can either put all of my money into one company, Tesla or SpaceX, and let the other one die, or I can severely cut between the both of them and hope that they make it. He said that was an extremely tough year for him because these two fires he was building were in jeopardy of one dying out completely or both of them being done. And it's like, I mean, the amount of struggles and like what the rockets that he's been shooting, it took him the fourth rocket to actually be a successful launch.
Yeah.
And he was saying if that fourth one failed, they were done. Like they didn't have any more funding for a fifth one. It's like they could just keep going. So that was it. And it's like make it or break it, literally. So
it's like that whole thing like we were talking about earlier. It's just like if you got no choice and your back's against the wall, you have to succeed. Like
or fail completely and be done.
Yeah, but like it's not an option. It wasn't an option. You know. And like that's the question of what is complete failure? Dying? And even then it's like you know, like okay. And even then, it's like, okay, well then you're just done with this existence. So I guess like is that even a loss? I don't know.
Yeah, because you think about like Trump, he went bankrupt more than one time, and a lot of people would consider that as like, okay, you're underwater, you're done. But
yeah, it's for people that don't understand finance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't understand it amazingly, but I understand that it was a positioning move for him. And it was a way for him he still had this money and so much real estate and businesses that it didn't matter. And he didn't lose everything by any means. If anything, he gained. He got the drop off debt that he didn't want to deal with anymore.
That's true.
And when you got that much cash, what do you need credit for? You don't.
Right.
You know, this is going to cost, you know, I can't give you $1 million loan or I can't give you $1 million line of credit. It's like, cool. $10 billion in real estate and, you know, $300 million of cash somewhere. It's like, well, then what do you need credit for? What do you need a loan for then? It's like, oh, he went bankrupt. He can't get credit. Okay.
And?
It's just like, oh, okay. Like, perfect. No problem then.
What do you mean? This sum of money right here I have in my pocket?
Exactly. So I think it's just, people see things this far in front of them, but not this far in front of them.
Yes.
But we're taught to be like that too.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're taught to be. So I think it's people open their minds and perspectives that think they would be able to understand things more.
Yeah. And again, talking about seeing things this far in front of your face, again, what is your career going to look like in 10 years, not tomorrow?
Yeah. It's a weird question because I very, very much so have goals and plans, and I know the lifestyle I want to live, and I know a basic roadmap of how I'll get there. But I've also been in the places of where like life completely flips things upside down, and so it's like there's the balance of like having a plan and having goals, but understanding that you have to be adaptable, and sometimes like it just doesn't want to work that way. And you have to be able to align yourself with whatever life's trying to do at the same time. Because if you're trying to do one thing and it's just not working and life is fighting you and fighting you and fighting you and fighting, maybe you need to step back and be like, oh, if I went this way, this would take me the best direction. So I think for like 10 years from now, I think that my business will definitely be scaled significantly by millions. I don't know if I'll even be a part of that business anymore, to be honest with you. I might be in something else, but I know that to be true. I know that I'll have real estate investments, you know, like houses, apartments. I don't really care about commercial real estate that much, just because everyone works from home, so why? Mm-hmm. I know that I'm working on my Italian citizenship, so I will have property in Italy. Cool. You know, and I'll have, hopefully 10 years from now, I'll have a family. If not, then I guess I'll probably never have one. You know? So that's kind of how I see it. I just see definitely more abundance and more to give. To help the people around me and then extend further upon that. So, yeah, like I said, I have goals and plans, but I'm very aware that life does not go to plan a lot. And so how can I make the best out of that situation and turn that into something that might even be a bigger plan or a bigger blessing than what I originally thought. So,
yeah, I have my plan. I have a 30-year-old plan for myself and go on from there. And I have an idea of how I'm going to get there, but you never know.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could meet somebody tomorrow that is going to change my life somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do business with Sam Barry or meet Elon Musk on the street, or I have an idea of how I'm going to get there, but it could change. And I think just as long as you keep that mission in your mind, that's the important thing. Like on the episode with Andrew, I was saying, you have that light at the end of the tunnel. And it's like you may kind of swerve on the way to get there, but as long as you know what your end goal is going to be, which I know what mine is, however you get there is however you get there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is mission focused. You never take your foot off the gas, but you also realize that
you have a steering wheel to steer you in a different direction if you need be.
Yeah. Then my life's changed radically over the last year and a half, 2 years. Some would say in negative ways, and others would say in positive ways, and I think everything's working out exactly how it's supposed to.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Just mentalities and everything is just kind of like 180.
Yeah. Has to. Yeah. Especially if you're stubborn like me. I think God has to freaking shake some stones to make me realize that.
Yeah. When are you going to get it?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, come on now. I'm like, all right, cool. I get it now. But,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But then bigger blessings come from that in the future because you just keep leveling up. But yeah, if you stay mission focused and you're staying on some kind of task and focus and, fuel for goals and plans of the future, I think you'll get to where you want to be or in an even better place.
How do you, talking about going through life and everything, how do you manage work relationships with people?
I'd say everyone's different. I've done business with a lot of people that become friends and personal friends. We can sit and not even talk about business, But I think it's just all open and clear communication with work relationships. It's got to be open and clear, and you got to be at the forefront of thinking about what do they want and what value can you provide. The whole thing of like, oh, you might not actually be a fit for me is a real thing. And it's not like some sales tactic to reverse psychology and then into them buying. It's just like, oh no, like you want this and I don't do that as well and your budget's too low or this thing or thing. Or sometimes it's not an ethical thing. Like I don't want to do that ethically. I've been offered to shoot pornographic stuff. Doesn't align with me. Been offered to shoot stuff in a strip club. Doesn't align with me. I'm not going to do it. Don't care how big the money is. I don't sell my soul. So it's just like the work relationships, I think it's just everyone's different. You have to almost kind of understand human psychology and emotions and logic and figure out what makes people tick and then be able to insert yourself in a situation to best help them. And I think that's something that I've had to work on a lot. Because, sometimes I'll get in the mode of like, oh, I got to get them this to get this money to do this, and then it becomes a me circle. It's like, oh, no, I'm not in business for me. I'm in business to do a service to serve other people. So it has to be about that. And then that comes back around to the full circle of good energy again. So I think it's that's something that I'm aware of constantly and something that I always try to improve at. It's just like, okay, the relationships need to be wholesome relationships where I'm just giving and for the most part not trying to receive. or the only thing I should receive is, you know, they paid me for my services. But
Right.
other than that, they got great product, great experience, great service, great feelings, great vibes, and I'm over delivering for them. And I think that's the zone that I'm in. And like I said, sometimes I'm not there and I need to get myself back there. And it's something that with the work relationships, it's worked out pretty well for me. It's just building friendships off of providing value. And yeah, I think that's just key.
Okay. Yeah, I heard a quote, and I can't remember the name of this guy, but he was a Chinese emperor from hundreds of years ago, and he had a very interesting idea about how to manage people. And he was saying that he sees himself as like a boat, and the citizens are the water. So the water can either sink the boat or keep it afloat. And so I think people would perceive an emperor as the leader, the commander, tyrannical in some cases, but he saw himself as at the mercy of the waves or at the mercy of the people. So if he knew if he was just being a dick to everybody, then sooner or later he's gonna get sunk.
Our government thought like that, man.
Wouldn't it be nice?
I wish because it's not going to stay like this forever. People are going
No.
to get pissed and fed up. So that's super cool that like a very wise man.
Yeah. If you read any history book, you'll see that.
History repeats itself.
Somebody can be tyrannical and just my way or the highway, but you can only be like that for so long before people start to say, all right, enough of this guy. We got to get rid of him.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're one man versus how many?
Mm-hmm.
And I think history repeats itself. So that's super. Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool, actually. That quote.
Yeah.
I found out that said that too. So.
I'm really mad that I forgot his name.
Yeah, I'm sure you could Google it pretty easily.
Yeah.
We need to have a guy working the screen in the back or something.
Yeah. Jamie, pull that up.
You want to pull it up? Put that up.
Pull up that picture.
Pull it up.
Oh yeah, pull it up.
So Jamie, see if you can pull that picture up again. Pull it up, Jamie. Pull up.
Funny.
Do you have any advice for somebody who wants to go into the videography and media trade?
There's lots of advice. Obviously, if you're good at your craft, just stay honed in on your craft, and that'll speak for itself. You know, just stay creative and trying new things and just becoming better and better and better and better and better. That's the bread and butter. If you're going to be in media and video and things like that, obviously your product is what sells. So be the best you can be. Do stuff for free. Do stuff on your own. Go all out to be the best you can be. That's the number one thing. It's just like anything. If you're going to be in business for one thing, you should be doing that one thing almost all the time. Be the best you can be at it. And I think this is a little industry specific, but a lot of people that are behind the camera, whether they're video or photo or anything in the media way, they're very creative and they're very creative minded. And I think that in business that caps them in a lot of ways because they're all feeling, they're all creative. There's no logic. It's like, well, you got to be hard on yourself. You got to be logical with yourself. You got to do the things you don't want to do. You have to do them when you don't want to do them. And I think a lot of people in this space are very creative, and that's awesome. But
that's only half the equation.
Yeah. So you got to be able to switch it on and off. And if you don't have the ability to switch your feelings on and off, then you won't be massively successful. You can have success, but you won't be massively successful. Or if you make enough money, just hire people who do the logical stuff for you if you want to be the freelance guy. You know, Virgil Abloh was not the CEO of Off-White. He was the owner and lead designer. He knew he wasn't CEO material, but he got his work to speak for himself long enough and made enough money that he could do that.
Okay.
And fulfill his weaknesses. But there are people in the media space that want to do it their own way in their own business. They got to get out of their own way. You know, feelings just don't matter that much half the time. They really don't. And I think it pisses people off. They have a very emotional reaction when I say stuff like that. Because I've had conversations with people like, do your feelings actually matter? Like, of course they matter. They're my feelings. I'm like,
Do they really?
do they? Does it? What does it change? What does it impact? It doesn't really. It just makes things worse in certain areas. So, no, it doesn't actually matter right now. There's a time and place for them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the main two things of advice I'd give to people in the media and creative and video photo space is just be the best you can be at your craft. Get out there, always be working on it, and then just get out of your own way. Like, do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. And then you build that muscle of being able to be the creative, but also the business person. And that's how I think the success comes when you can do that, for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. It's cool.
All right.
Oh, yeah. 46 minutes ain't too bad.
Yeah.